They won the series. Yay. So much enthusiasm. Now, doesn't feel that good because
It
the Blue
feels
Jays.
great.
All right. Well, we will discuss that coming up on Locked On Blue Jays. It starts right now.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Blue Jays. Thanks so much for making us your first listen every day. You can catch us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher, Podbean, Odyssey. I forget Earwolf.
Earwolf is not a
YouTube.
thing.
It's not. It's a thing. I found it. Look it up.
Really?
YouTube, Twitter at Locked On Jays, and you can email us lockedonbluejaysreal@gmail.com. Is Earwolf a thing or is it not a thing?
No, we
I
got
don't.
one called Overcast, though.
Okay, I don't know if we're on Earwolf, but it is a thing. But
If you're on
Overcast.
anywhere you get podcasts, it means we are on Earwolf.
Yeah. He's Matt Bonaparte. I'm Ben Shulman. Today's episode is presented by Vroom. With Vroom, you can buy a car entirely online and have it delivered straight to you, so you never have to go to a dealership again. So next time you need to buy a car, just grab your phone, go to vroom.com, and check out the thousands of great cars. Time for a series recap here on Locked On Blue Jays. We got your storylines. We got your MVPs. Coming up a little later, we're going to talk about the 5 starters. And coming up a little bit even later than that, we're going to preview a series against the Buccos. Arg. Let's start with this series, though. The Blue Jays, they do win the series. I know it was negative off the top, but if you isolate this from the Angels series, if you're just talking about the Cubs series, I mean, it's not a bad series. They do win the series. What's your storyline, big guy?
Storyline for me is a series win. You got to take it, man. You're going to be all upset, Shulman. All right? Put that away. I don't want to see it on this pod. We got to be pumped. Take every series win we can get, man. Okay? Series win's a series win, and that's what we just got here on Lockdown Blue Jays.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm conflating the homestand, like I'm putting it all together, but you do kind of have to look at each series independently. And once like the Angel series is done, they did do their job in this series. Like we did state before this whole 9-game stretch that we would be fine with 6 wins. They can't get to that now, but they did their job in the Cup series, so it's good. My storyline, I guess, is like offense is back, but I think like the pitching was potentially worse than the numbers would give them, or at least the pitching just wasn't good early. Like they just fell behind a lot early, and so I appreciate the fact they came back twice. And frankly, down 6-2 to lose 7-5, that's not the worst game ever in the finale. Like at least they put up a fight, with some shoddy umpiring going on in the background. But I expect a little bit more, I think, off the top of the game because it is hard, even against a team like the Cubs, when you're giving up runs in the first inning all the time. That just puts extra pressure on your offense. And we already had this Blue Jays offense going into this series with just a lot of pressure, considering they scored 3 runs against the Angels in 3 games. So was expecting a little more from the pitchers early on, but it's okay. Who's your MVP?
Jordan Romano is my MVP. Mostly because he's a psycho, and I love pitchers being psychos. I think it's awesome. Like the dude's like jittering and like Mark fidgeting the ball on the mound, just like talking to it and stuff. Like I love that. So Romano's my MVP. Also came in for 2 really good appearances in this series. Didn't get an opportunity in Game 3, but hey, who cares? Series win's a series win, like I said prior. Now they can use him in the Pirates series. Hopefully they don't have to use him and they can save him for whatever comes after that. I don't know right now. But yeah, Romano's my guy.
Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. He was really good. Multi-inning save in the mix. He's been doing that a lot recently, which I kind of love and kind of don't love at the same time. Like I love in the moment and I don't always love after. But he's nails. And yeah, I love his fidgeting. I mean, I would be so frightened in the box. He's just like can't stand still. It's like he's got ants in his pants. He's just like moving around all the time, but it's effective. It works for him. So I like it. I'll flip over to the other side of the ball to a man that we know and we love. It's Vladimir Guerrero Jr. That's the MVP on the bad side. And frankly, I love you, Blue Jays fans. Vlad made a retweet about his 27th home run, and people were like, "Your launch angle is 4.3. Stop hitting the ball on the ground." Like, relax. Like, he hit 500 in the series. He went 6 for 12 with a bomb and a double. You can't say he's having a bad season. So, everyone relax. He's not having last year. He's also not hitting at TD Ballpark in Salem Field. Let's calm down. Let's not turn on the best player on the team. Vladdy is good, and he was good once again, and he's going to need to continue to be good and, potentially even get better and better as the Blue Jays escalate toward the finale of the season because they need him to be nails in the playoffs. But, a good series bumps his average up to 285, where it's kind of been sitting. I'm hoping he could finish the year in the 290s at least. We'll see. His OPS is still 855, which is closer to 900 in terms of last year than you would think, because everyone's numbers are down. So I love Vlad. He was really good. He had a hit in every game. He just consistently powered an offense that had zero consistency in the series prior.
Yeah, he's so good though. That guy's fantastic, and the people who are kind of asking for more from him, I don't know, like you said, everybody's numbers are down right now, and I don't know how many times we have to say last year's season was so weird, and I don't think we give enough stock to the fact that the man played in two really tin can ballparks.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from him, but just saying of course maybe his numbers were a little bit inflated. But he also just had a mad year. It was insane. So he's also in his fourth real season.
Yeah, fourth.
So
and it's even
give him a break.
To use the example of the guy who is probably going to win the MVP, Aaron Judge hit 50 home runs in 2017. He didn't come out and hit 50 home runs the next year. It just doesn't always happen like that. It's not the NBA or something where when a guy's got it, it really feels like he's got it. You have to go out there and grind through it. So Vlad's my MVP. Like him, like what he did in this series. Still marveling at that home run he hit Oppo in game 2 because that pitch was out of the zone. And yeah, he's a man, and I love him. All right. When we come back, we're going to talk about the 5-starter because the Blue Jays didn't get the sweep that we wanted, and it seems like the problems that we thought might be solved in the 5 spot are not necessarily solved. So we're going to discuss that next on Locked On Blue Jays. But right now, we need to tell you an important message about safety on the roads from the National Highway and Transit Safety Organization or Association. There we go. It's never okay to drive stoned. If you feel different, you drive different. And if you drive high, you get a DUI. You're putting yourself and others in danger. If you have used marijuana in any form, do not get behind the wheel. Again, if you feel different, you drive different, drive high, and get a DUI. Because if you think it's okay to drive stoned, the truth is your reaction time slow way down when you're high. You're not only putting yourself in danger, but everyone around you. Stop kidding yourself. If you've used it in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you're one of those people who thinks it's okay to get stoned, what's the worst that could happen? You end up driving below the speed limit. It's no big deal, right? No, the truth is your reaction times are putting everyone in danger around you. Talk about a buzzkill. Stop kidding yourself. It's not okay to drive high. Again, if you've used it in any form, do not get behind the wheel. If you feel different, you drive different. Drive high, get a DUI.
And now it's time to talk about the 5-starter. An issue all season long. Not a secret. You could argue that wherever Barrios pitches is a problem too, but that's not the conversation right now. Yusei Kikuchi ousted from the job. He hippity-hopped over to the bullpen. We see him very rarely. Mitch White came over at the trade deadline. We see him every 5th start. And sometimes he's okay, but sometimes he puts up performances like he did in this game, where he goes 4 2/3, allows 8 hits, allows 6 earned runs, and inevitably leads to a Blue Jays loss. It's an issue, something that the Jays have been trying to, fix all year and try to rectify the situation, but no remedy has worked so far. And now we come to a crossroads once again, approaching the playoffs of what will they do? I mean, this is the first episode in September. There's not a lot of baseball left in the regular season. They've got to figure something out going into the important games. What do you think they should do, Ben?
Yeah, it's interesting because, like you said, they're not going to have a 5-starter in the playoffs. So obviously that's not a concern. But they need to figure something out to get to the playoffs because it's really feeling like they are not being given much of a chance to win. Like, I know you said the comment about Barrios, but Barrios has at least had the peaks with the valleys. Whereas like the 5-starter, it's just been tough when this is mostly Kikuchi weighing it down, I'll be honest. But when Kikuchi or White, the 5-starters, have started,
I don't trust White either,
Yeah, the Blue Jays are 8-16 though in their starts combined. And Mitch White, like you said, like he's been all right sometimes, but he's never gone further than 5. And in all but one start, he's given up at least 6 hits. It's just not great. He had 4 innings, 1 run, or 4 2/3, 1 run on 3 hits against Cleveland. That's probably his best start. He did walk 3 in that one. And the Yankees, he limited to 1 run in 4 innings, but the bases were full the whole time. He gave up 7 hits in 4 innings, and they probably wanted him to go further, but he really couldn't because the third time through is coming up. So, yeah, I really think that they have to make a change. I'm usually, like, if this is April or May or even June, I'm not judging Mitch White on this few appearances, but they don't have time, and he doesn't have an established hold with them at all to make you think that for sure it's going to get better. So if I'm them, I really explore an opener. And potentially pitching White after them to avoid the top of the order the first time through. Like Julian Merriweather has been pitching well. Maybe you bring him up, and maybe you get 2 innings out of Merriweather, and then you go for like 3 or 4 innings out of White. And
why not throw Phelps, a former starter?
You could. They're not using him as nearly as high leverage. He was never high leverage, but his leverage has been knocked down a lot since Bass has come along to shuffling everyone down, and Mays has been healthy. So, yeah, I don't hate that either. Start David Phelps. Maybe he gives you 1 or 2, and then you toss Mitch for 3, and that gets you 5 innings.
That's the only spot you're in right now, though. Like,
yeah.
we've gone so far down the pipeline to the point now where that's really the only other option that they haven't yet tried. I think it's worth a shot, and I don't think David Phelps is a bad decision. I think that would be an interesting move. Why not try it? If you know that Mitch White going out there is probably 6 hits, like you said, and leading to an 8-16 record combined with Kikuchi, I don't see the problem. I don't really see why you wouldn't. And they don't really, like you said, they don't really use Phelps in high leverage spots. They don't even really use him all that consistently either. He's been good this season when pitching. I don't see why not. I'm pro Phelps here.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of what other options there even would be at this point. He's definitely an interesting one. Kikuchi's still on the roster, and like if I were them, at this point I would probably make a change there because there's someone else. Maybe if you wanted to keep Phelps for some reason, there is someone you could call up, or if you use Phelps, then maybe you send Kikuchi down. Call Merriweather up. Pierce on the rehab stint. I have no idea what that means. Just no idea. But yeah, it just doesn't feel like you can go on this way, Now the good news is, they got a day off tomorrow. Like I would use days off at any moment to skip. I'd skip the 5th starter every single time if you could on a day off. Now it is a bummer that the day off comes literally right after the 5 starter. But anytime you can use days off to skip, do it every single time. Like we don't need to give the other starters extra rest. I would ideally want to for Manoah because he's young and he hasn't pitched this much before, but there's a playoff race to be had here at this point. So it's going to be tough. I guess also heads up for all our listeners. We'll let you know if there's an episode on the day off tomorrow. Might not come through with that one. Yeah, I think we're in agreement here. I mean, you got to mix something up. And for those who don't understand the point of the opener, if you do 1 or 2 innings of an opener, then instead of Mitch White facing the top of the order the most, like if he came in after an inning, and let's say it was a 4-batter inning from Phelps in the first. So he starts against the 5 hitters. His second time through is going to see the 5, 6, 7 guys again. So it's trying to keep him off the top hitters in the lineup, which they're already doing by yanking him before third time through. But maybe you could go 3 times through the bad parts of the order, So yeah, I don't think there's too much more to say on it, but that's my thoughts and my feelings.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm pro trying anything at this point. It's not like you have the luxury like the Yankees do, where you have that little bit of a lead and you don't have to worry. Like the Orioles are still on your heels. Like we did the chase down teams the other day, or yesterday. This is very much still a race, and the Jays, despite probably having the most talented roster in terms of the Mariners, Rays, and Jays, they're behind those 2 teams. So they have to figure things out, and it is a huge detriment to not have any confidence. Or, I mean, I don't know what's like in the clubhouse, but for us, I mean, there's not a lot of confidence when Mitch White is on the bump. And there's probably a little bit more when Barrios is, but it's not that much more. So I'm all for anything, trying anything on that 5th day and seeing what you can do with that 5th spot, whether that's utilize an opener, try different guys in however many innings, figure it out, do something, and just try and get by. Because at the end of the day, baseball is that kind of game where trying things like that could get you a win. Anybody can win any given day, so why not try stuff?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, it's like you said, it'd be one thing, like we're not expected to have Cy Young in the 5 spot, but it just doesn't feel like they're given much of a chance. And they really weren't in this game. They staged a comeback in game 3, but they weren't given much of a chance. So we'll see what happens. I don't expect things to change, but you never know. Here's a reason to watch us on video, by the way, because audio listeners, you're getting an ad, 2 of them now. Video listeners, we keep rolling. Love you, audio listeners, though. No slight to you. We have a series coming up starting on Friday. Yeah. The Pittsburgh Pirates at PNC Park. Beautiful ballpark. Probably top 3 for me. But not necessarily a beautiful baseball team. Really, really bad baseball team. No offense to the Pittsburgh Pirates, but their record shows it 49-81. We were looking at it before. They're a great historical franchise that is on the verge of dropping below 500 as a franchise. Like they have 10,000 something wins, and that's 47 more than their 10,000 something losses. So pretty tough for a club that's been around since 1882. But you wouldn't know it by the way they're playing. It is pretty tough for the Blue Jays to not go in there and win the series handily. And to be honest, sweep it for the love of everything. How I know we're happy with this series being a 2-1 split, and you were kind of being like, don't be mad, they won the series. But realistically, would you actually be okay if they won the Pirates series 2-1?
I mean, I'd be fine. Yeah, I wouldn't be ecstatic, but I wouldn't be upset. I mean, again, I'm sincere when I say that any series win is a big win. I think it's important to win series. You don't have to sweep everybody, but you should win every series against a team like that. I'd be fine with it. How would you not?
No, I think I would too. It is they're just so for the taking for a sweep. I'm trying to find the last series win they have. They swept Milwaukee right after the Hader trade. And so they won a series to start August and then lost every series after that. They weren't swept often, I will say, in August. They were only swept twice, and they swept another team once. So like you said, I mean, a series win over a major league team is a series win. But as we look to their scaries or potential scaries, you can see why it's not so scary after all. I'll give the floor to you because there are just not that many guys to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to take the safe choice. I'm going Brian Reynolds here. He's got a 4-game hit streak going now. He's got 6 hits in 4 games. He's having an average season for a regular major league player, but for the Pirates, he's like far and away the best player on the team. They don't have a starter with an ERA less than 3. They only have 2 or 3 hitters. I think it is 2 hitters. No, 3 hitters with OPS above 700.
Are you
That's
counting
Reynolds.
Vogelbach?
No, I'm counting Reynolds, Zawinski, and Rodolfo Castro. That's it. So I mean, they've just been having a tough year. Yeah, so I'm going Reynolds. There's nothing too crazy to say about him. Some people thought he was going to get moved at the deadline. He ended up not. He's a switch hitting center fielder, so everybody kind of wants one of those until they're Aaron Hicks. But yeah, Brian Reynolds, good player.
It's tough for Aaron Hicks. He didn't ask for that on the Locked On Blue Jays podcast. You mentioned my scary in naming, the few hitters with 700 OPS on the team. I'm going with Jack Zawinski. He's a former Tin Cap, and I am your Tin Caps broadcaster. So Jack Zawinski has a soft spot in my heart. But he's a rookie who, people above the age of 30 definitely don't like because he's hitting 197, but he is smacking homers. He hasn't played that many games. He's been up and down. He's only played 74 games, and he's hit 14 homers, which is on pace for about 30 bombs in a 162-game season. So, he can definitely hurt you. He had a 3-homer game this year. Quick trivia. He had a 3-homer game as a rookie. Who's the only other Pirate to have a 3-homer game as a rookie?
Pedro Alvarez.
No.
Starling Marte.
No, search your feelings. It's more obvious.
Gregory Polanco. Roberto Clemente.
Not more obvious than Roberto Clemente, but pretty obvious.
Is it Willie Stargell?
No.
O'Neal Cruz.
No.
Andrew McCutchen.
There you go. It was pretty obvious. Jack Zawinski's good. He can hurt you a little bit. He was, when he was playing at the beginning of the year, at one point actually, I believe, leading rookies in homers, but they sent him down. So now he's back up. He can hurt you, but not many can. So that's part of the reason why he's there too. Your hype train, Mr. Bones.
My hype train is Ross the Boss Stripling. He, in his career, he's probably faced the Pirates more than anybody on the Jays because he spent some time in Los Angeles. He's played against them 6 times, started against them twice. He actually doesn't have great numbers against them. A 4 ERA in 18 innings, 17 Ks in those 18 innings, but also a 1-1 whip. He's fine. But I think they'll take that experience and against a really bad team. I'm going to go Ross the Boss. Also, they haven't seen this year's Ross. This is a whole new Ross.
That's what I was going to say. This is a different Ross than the Ross they knew before. Exactly. But he knows, he knows some of them, but I guess they're kind of new. But I get what you're saying. I like it. I'm going to go on the bat side with Teo. Got a little healthy this series. Hit pretty well in his 2 games. And almost no one on the Jays has faced the Pirates that much except for Tapia, and he's not my hype train. So Teo in 3 games against the Pirates' career has 1 homer and 1 double and a pretty solid OPS. So I like Teo to keep the momentum rolling. Hopefully him, coming back and being good was a big part of the series win. So I'd like to see him do that again. Bones, if people have made it to this point in the episode, what word should they put in the comments?
Put in the comments Fender.
Fender? Like guitar?
Yeah, like the guitar.
Okay, I like it. Put Fender in the comments, and we appreciate you making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. Now go make your second listen, the Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022, an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network, plus a betting angle from Lee Sterling of Locked On Bets, all combining into one ultimate NFL preview. Search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, Podbean, or wherever you get your podcasts. He's Matt Bonaparte. I'm Ben Shulman. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you guys later.